World-class fishing off of Matagorda Bay? Well, dream no more. Saturday, June 7th, Driftwood Shores at Wolf Point is dropping the final release of these incredible coastal properties. We're talking 1 to 3 acre properties, all with ocean access for just $49.9. You heard correctly, $49.9. This gated community has a waterfront resort-style pool and cabana, your own boat slip and launch, even boat and RV storage, plus paved roads and underground utilities. It's the whole shebang. It's all happening Saturday, June 7th. 1 to 3 acres with ocean access, just $49.9. Yes, just $49.9. Call now for your private tour at 210-853-0389. Excellent financing. Don't wait another minute. Call 832-662-0389. Texas coastal land has never been this affordable.
94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star. San Antonio's Sports Center.
Pacers are one win away from the NBA Finals, and tonight in the Western Conference, so is Oklahoma City as the T-Wolves trail 3-1. Oklahoma City tries to punch their ticket tonight at 7:30. It's a game you can catch right here starting at 7. And the Spurs will be a part of the 4-team field at the California Classic Summer League event. The Warriors, Lakers, and Heat will be joining them July 5th through the 8th.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history! A walk-off home run!
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
What's up, Danger? Can't stop me now.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me. However you may be joining me, whether that's on 94.1 on your FM dial, if you happen to be listening online via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player at sasportstar.com, or if you happen to be watching live on YouTube. If you are, congratulations. If not, get over to YouTube, search SA Sports Star, go ahead, like, subscribe. As Sam says, KBB in the background. That's right, I got KBB right there, so. KBB makes his appearance for the first time on Extra Innings with Pleasure. So if you want to see that, get on over. Or, you can always just be a part of the conversation, calling in the old-fashioned way, 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Lots to talk about. And earlier this morning on the Morning Huddle, Rob dug into the Spurs and some recent rumors, and it's going to be, to say the least, a very, very interesting offseason for the San Antonio Spurs.
But I do want to kind of dovetail back to the Wemby situation and where the Spurs find themselves before we close the hour out. Now, Shams Charania was with Pat McAfee yesterday live outside of the field house there in Indiana, talking about the Spurs in general. And he brought up on McAfee some really good news for Spurs fans, because when you got money and when you got things that you can trade or sell, you ever find that you want to go buy something? So you go to the store and you look and you look and you look and you look and you got the money in your pocket. You're ready to buy. You just can't find it. It just ain't there. Whether the money you have ain't enough for what you really want, you just don't have enough for that. And anything that's in your market, Well, the good news is the Spurs have money in their pocket and can afford anything in the store. And Sam Charania was talking about the setting for this offseason that is coming and how crazy it could be.
This is the most, I think, anticipation team executives have had over an offseason. I think this is going to be the craziest offseason of all. I don't want to say all time. We just came off a trade deadline. I think it was the craziest of all time. I think this offseason might be the most craziest ever. Probably grammar police is like it's craziest.
No,
ever.
no, you got your point
no.
across. It's the most craziest ever.
Because I think what you have right now is you have the parity
English
in the
class
league.
sucks.
It's so thin right now. Like as far as the thin line of what you can win a championship or you might be falling into the lottery. And I think the ability to go out there and improve your team and get there to championship level, I think that's on the minds of everyone around the league. So how can you elevate your team?
It is so nice to know that. Because like I said, so many times you're in the market, but you're hamstrung because I just don't have enough money. I know there's things around me that would be exactly what I need and what I want. I just can't afford that. So do I settle? Spurs don't have to settle this year. There is literally nothing on the shelf that they can't afford. Now, it might be more than they want to spend, but they've got everything that they need to go get what they want. And that is a unique and absolutely unexpected situation to find themselves. And Sharani was talking earlier, and maybe we should pull it up. I want to, this is Shams talking yesterday about, the Spurs in specifics and the big names like Giannis and Durant.
They also have a ton of assets. They have tradable contracts. They have the number 2 pick. They have the number 14 pick in this year's draft. They have a bunch of tradable picks as well moving forward. They have all their picks. So
El Jefe.
Whether there's a player like a Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think a Kevin Durant's another guy that the Spurs, there was mutual interest in at the deadline. I think they're going to be looking very actively to see, is there a wing player we can bring in that could take us over the top?
It's so rare to have the monetary wherewithal meet the opportunity of a lifetime. It just doesn't happen very often. And you just feel like if you just ride through the wave, no matter what you do, you really can't screw it up. But when I heard that little tidbit from Shams talking about the mutual interest between the Spurs and Kevin Durant at the deadline, that kind of turned my theory, my belief, that the Spurs were probably going to do nothing because they don't need to do anything. And they've done just fine in the past doing exactly this way. They're looking at Oklahoma City, the best team in the league, doing it that way, that they don't need to do that. But when I hear way back then that at the deadline, that did turn out to bring in De'Aaron Fox, which was and still is to date probably the second biggest trade in the history of the franchise. And I only say it's second because Gervin was involved in the first one. And there was a possibility of Durant and this mutual interest arriving. Now, I wonder, was it in tandem, or it was Durant and the interest waned and then it was Fox? Or was he suddenly interested when he found out Fox was coming? Now, if that's the case, my belief is out the window. If they were already thinking of swinging for the fences and bringing in De'Aaron Fox and Durant at the deadline before even knowing they had the number 2 pick, they just had 2 in the lottery, they hoped. What I believe is out the window. Because one thing I can tell you, Durant isn't going to be nearly as expensive as Giannis. Not even close. Giannis is going to cost a lot more. So if there was interest in Durant and he was interested here, I think his value, at least his cost, has already begun to dip. Especially as Giannis is the big fish now. So I wouldn't be opposed to a move with Durant, especially knowing that there was some talk. That might change the paradigm completely. Especially if there was conversation with the 2 at the same time. Now, the cost is coming. And having this discussion with old heads that have been standing next to the practice sidelines for 30 years, to the podcasters, to the national dudes, there's an interesting dude that most of the outside world looks like at the Spurs and figures that he, of the others, is the untouchable one. That there's one guy that we never talk about that is really the dude that the Spurs should wrap and hide, because he does exactly what the championship caliber teams are doing now, at least one of them. He does exactly. He's already in the building. He's cheap. He's already here. We don't need to worry about him. Why search? And it ain't the guy that you think it is. Or maybe it's not. If you're an astute mind, you might think about it. He's a guy that I saw on social medias yesterday, floating around having a good time on vacation. I think at the end of the day, when we watch what's going on in Oklahoma City and we see what they're doing to win a title, we hear Shams say this is going to be one wild off season and there's nobody with more money and more components than the Spurs, that we are going to say goodbye to dudes we really like if there is a move made. But it might be a dude that stays that we might be surprised with. It might be the guy at the end of the day that we couldn't figure out what to do with that ends up being the ideal piece. And that name is Jeremy Sohan. When you look at what's going on in Oklahoma City, when you look, and to some extent, certainly, the way that Anunoby is used with the Knicks, a guy that does everything, but mostly he does defense. That just whoever he guards has a night down. Whoever he is, it's off night. And Jeremy has been that guy from the get-go. Devin can shoot. Keldon can hustle and spark. But Jeremy plays defense on a level at which nobody else on this team does. And that might make him absolutely unstoppable. And maybe not unstoppable, not that term, but unmovable. A guy that is a luxury to good teams, a necessity for great teams, is already in the building. And his name is Jeremy Sohan.
Rob's a lot higher on Jeremy Sohan than I am. He's a minus 88 on the season. And let's be fair. Wemby led the league in blocks, and he hadn't played since February, before the All-Star break, or just after the All-Star break. That's the defensive guy on this team. He had a plus minus, and he is that good. You want to talk about a defender. Wemby's your defender. I'm okay with Sohan being a jack of all trades, being an energy guy. Yeah, I get it. Is that somebody I want to pay $30 million a year to? I don't know about that either. Feel like I can find that guy again. But it's going to be very interesting because the Spurs do have assets. They do have money. They have a lot of things. How are you going to build this Spurs roster out? Well, the Blitz was talking about it a little bit earlier today. We'll talk about it, what they had to say about it. Plus, we'll talk about it with you. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. How the Spurs build this thing out when you're talking about trying to get to the level that OKC is at. We'll discuss coming up here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hey, listen up, San Antonio. Multiple tours overseas, long nights monitoring cyber activity, years of protecting the country. It all adds up at University of Maryland Global Campus. Earn up to 90 credits for prior learning, military experience, and training. We call that credit where credit is due. Whether you're active duty and looking at what's next, or a veteran looking for something new, our degrees and certificate programs teach the application of emerging technologies and enduring life skills. So get started on a degree or certificate with personalized local support services and online and hybrid courses right here in San Antonio. At UMGC, you'll find everything from online to hybrid courses and lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. Apply now and save with no application fee through May 30th. Visit UMGC at San Antonio or umgc.edu/SATX.
Buyers Barricades is proud to provide traffic control, rental, and sales for work zones and events in the San Antonio area and beyond. Buyers Barricades, the Texas authority in barricade rental. Learn more online at buyersbarricades.com. That's buyersbarricades.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
San Antonio, Austin, and St. Louis. CordellCordell.com. Protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive so you can stop worrying about them and invent new things to worry about, like snakes in your bedroom. Sure, that sounds incredibly irrational, but now that we've mentioned it, you are a little worried. The odds of one snake, let alone snakes plural, are so slim. But you might want to check. Oh, you're not near your bedroom. Guess you'll just have to sit there and worry about it. So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
You know, the Roo Pub is proven to be the best place to watch games with those 3 massive 170-inch screens and TVs all around. All the games, all the fights, and when you show up at the Roo Pub, show up hungry. The food is fantastic. Open daily at 11. Great for lunch, great for dinner, great for late at night, and the best place to watch a game. Just down from the big blind, right next to the Angry Elephant. The Roo Pub, 281 in Redland Road. We'll see you at the Roo.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. That is KVB. If you're watching on YouTube, go to SA Sports Star on YouTube and find out exactly what I'm talking about. KBB makes his first appearance on Extra Innings with Pledger. The San Antonio Spurs have a very interesting offseason because a lot of people want to see the splash. A lot of people want to go after the Kevin Durant's, the Giannis Antetokounmpos. But they also don't want to pay the price that would take to get there. They also don't want to part with the assets that it may take to get them there. So what do you really want as a Spurs fan? How do you get to where you want to? The Blitz earlier today, Jason and Joe, you can catch them weekdays from 2 to 6. They were talking about building out this Spurs roster, especially when you look at the teams that are playing right now, especially the ones that look like they're on a collision course for the finals when you talk about the Pacers and Thunder.
So how should the Spurs get back to playoff prominence? That always seems to be a big debate. Everybody seems to think that they should just stay put and let their players develop and everything will be hunky-dory. It's not the way to do it. Just absolutely not the way to do it. It's not how teams are built. It is a combination of veteran players and draft picks, and that's the way they do it. This is the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Jason, I mean, What do you think?
Well, I mean, the reality is, I think in San Antonio we have a very skewed version of how it needs to be done because we used to celebrate built, not bought, and that especially goes back to 2013 and 14 playing the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. But even those teams, while yes, we celebrated our draft picks of Tim, Tony, and Manu, we tend to forget guys that we were able to bring in from other places. Let's go back to the early 2000s. You know, bringing in veteran key role players, whether you're talking about a Steve Kerr, a Robert Ory, a Brent Berry, Bruce Bowen, whose numbers in the rafters right now. I mean, there's a lot of those guys. So but I get why Spurs fans always like to talk about the homegrown talent. Not everybody you draft is going to turn out to be what you hope they would be. So sometimes you have to move them. Now, Indiana and Oklahoma City are about to play in the NBA Finals. They followed a similar yet very different path. Sam Presti and OKC, very deliberate, and made a lot of big moves. Because you think at one point, they had Kevin Durant, James Harden. They Russell Westbrook. They had some players. All of those guys gone. Paul George, trading away that dude, got them a slew of picks. But their best player, the MVP, wasn't drafted by Oklahoma City. He came over in a trade.
Absolutely.
In SGA. Now, sure, they drafted Chet Holmgren. They've drafted some guys. Tyrese Halliburton. The Pacers didn't draft him. He was in Sacramento. Pascal Siakam, I believe, he was traded from Toronto.
That's correct.
Obi Toppin, I believe, he came from the New York Knicks. Right?
That is correct.
Now, they have drafted some good players.
Sure.
It's a combination. But all these draft picks that the Spurs have assembled, they're not collecting those to go draft what they hope are future Hall of Famers. That collection of picks, sure, there's going to be some picks used and guys that will wear Spurs jerseys, but that's capital to be able to go make a trade for the player you think is going to come and fit the bill. And they have additional picks because, quite frankly, they got De'Aaron Fox for a hell of a lot cheaper than I thought they would.
No, absolutely. And look, I get it because Spurs fans fall in love with players. That's just what we do around here. So everybody's in love with these players and think that they're going to develop. Look, I've been the biggest Devin Vassell fan that there is. And this guy's going to be it. He's going to be the guy. And I'm just not sure. I'm not sure when that is and how patient do you need to be with somebody like that. We talk about Keldon Johnson. I think Keldon Johnson's stock rose in my mind because he was coming off the bench and he played pretty well this year. But I just think that the Spurs have some glaring needs. And they need shooters. They need guys that can score and space the floor. And they also need some protection for Wemby. So Wemby can do what Wemby does and get out and well, he's a unicorn, right? He can do it all.
Yeah.
There are some glaring needs, and they need some guys that can play defense. And as far as I can see, they don't have any of those guys unless his name is Wemby.
I'm gonna guess in Oklahoma City that everybody that put on their uniform, those fans in OKC loved those players. And Sam Presti made some ballsy moves, trading away a lot of big name guys. You think about some of the guys that played in Oklahoma City that got traded away and the slew of picks that Sam Presti was able to get. Now, nothing ridiculous like what Nico Harrison did in Dallas this year with Luka going bye-bye, but the reality is Sam Presti probably took a lot of heat in Oklahoma City when he traded away some superstar talent. And probably at the time, people questioned whether he knew what he was doing, although they're very Spur-like, so trust the process. They're going to do it. Very deliberate in how they have built this team, making tough decisions, getting rid of fan favorites because of what you're going to get in return. And you're seeing that payoff. They're about to go win their first NBA championship. What I think the Spurs need to do, this collection of picks they have, even number 2 this year. And I know there's people out there that love Dylan Harper. But if you can turn that number 2 pick into a veteran guy that is a fit for what the Spurs need right now to win right now, to be able to compete with Oklahoma City. Now, I don't know how quickly they can be as good as OKC, But can they do a move this offseason? And I think they can, to where they can compete with Oklahoma City, because it looks like Oklahoma City is built right now for a good 4, 5, 6 year stretch, and they've still got a ton of picks. So they're only going to get better. So you've got to build this Spurs team to be able to knock off Oklahoma City.
Well, sure. And then you've got Houston
Yeah.
that's out there that's only going to get better. In the West is only going to get stronger. So if you want to sit here and wait for Devin Vassell to get better, or Keldon Johnson to get better, or Jeremy Sohan to get better, I don't know. I don't know what we're waiting for. With the draft capital, you just want to keep those picks in a closet and just keep them there. I mean, I don't want to do that. I want to use them and get some players in here like a Cam Johnson. I heard a Jaren Jackson Jr. A rumor that could be coming to San. You talk about a defensive player that can play. There's another one. I mean, there are guys out there not named Giannis and Kevin Durant that the Spurs can acquire and bring in here and make this team better immediately.
And again, it's been 7 years since they've been in the postseason. Playoffs, that's the next step. But honestly, and I know I'm greedy, but I feel like I speak for a lot of Spurs fans. I want the Spurs in the mix. Will I be mad if we don't win a title next year? Probably, especially if we get to the second round or the Western Conference Finals. But I look at what Oklahoma City has done. They've advanced. Now it looks like they're about to take that next step. Minnesota is a team that doesn't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon, yet they've got back-to-back years in the Western Conference Finals. I want the Spurs to be in that mix. And though the West isn't easy, and it's not getting any easier. And again, I think Oklahoma City is the top of the mountain right now in the West, which is kind of weird to say because we're not talking about LA teams. And, I don't know what to think of Dallas, but they're going to get Cooper Flag and, when and if they get healthy. But the West is competitive. Can the Spurs have a competitive team that can compete with the best in the West? Not, all right, let's get to the first round and say we've taken the next step. I'm done with that.
I'm done with it too. And I just think that they've got to, and look, I'm encouraged by the De'Aaron Fox trade. And I think the Spurs realize what they've got to do. And if it takes losing some players that people love, that have embraced this community, and I get it. Look, players like it here. When they come here, they're drafted here, they like it here. They do. And you just know that by all the players that have retired and still live here. Everybody says nobody wants to come play in San Antonio. That's just BS, especially now that you've got a guy named Victor Wembanyama. Players are going to want to come play for this guy because they know how good he can be, and he's going to help their game and help them get better. There are guys out there the Spurs can find, like they did with De'Aaron Fox, that can come in here and you can build a team and build it quickly. Now, again, you mentioned it, Jason. The West is going to be tough. Now, I'm certainly not going to be upset if the Spurs make some moves and they get into the playoffs and they can't make that championship run. I'm okay as long as this team is building. I've kind of come off the Giannis and Kevin Durant fantasy because I just think that both of those things would be way too expensive, and the Spurs could do it smarter and better than that by adding 2 or 3 players instead of just that one. And I think it's going to be an aggressive offseason for the San Antonio Spurs, and we may lose some guys that we have come to love.
And again, I mean, when Devin Vassell was drafted, things have changed. When Keldon Johnson was drafted, and at this point, I think both of those guys have been around long enough. They are what they are. And do they actually still fit? Now, Keldon, his role coming off the bench, I think he's earned a spot. But if you have to move a Keldon Johnson to get better, then you move a Keldon Johnson. Same with the Devin Vassell. I don't want to see Devin Vassell leave, but bye-bye. Especially when you look at what's getting better. And again, a weird tweet, Thunder and Pacers are on the verge of the finals from growing and developing talent. That's not necessarily true.
That's not true.
Now, have they made some trades and developed their homegrown talent with those stars? It's not like they bought a team and went immediately to the NBA finals or the conference finals. Those groups have been together for a couple of years. So I could see where if you're not doing any research and think, man, Hallie's been there for a long time. He didn't start there. I could see that, but sometimes it's addition by subtraction, and the Spurs are going to do what they need to do to make this team better and be a playoff competitive team, not just a playoff caliber team, a playoff competitive team.
I mean, as far as it relates to SGA, while he wasn't drafted by Oklahoma City, he was there after his first year. So he was kind of developed by Oklahoma City in that Paul George trades. I will give Oklahoma City that, and Sam Presti. He wasn't what he became. I mean, it's like, do you give Charlotte credit for drafting Kobe? No, they didn't draft him. Lakers get the credit for that. So it is that. Halliburton was a good player. He was not what he is now. They got them early enough to where they did develop them a little, but for the most part, the rest of those rosters are filled out. And you look at San Antonio, the pillars are there. Like you talk about building a foundation, the foundation's there. You got Wemby, Castle, and De'Aaron Fox now. You've kind of built the pillars of your castle. Now you've got to find the guys that fit with what you're building around. And they bring up a Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson's a great piece to add. You talk about a guy that is defense first, can spread the floor. If he becomes available this summer, that is a great addition. Cam Johnson's a great addition. You don't have to make the big play for a Giannis Antetokounmpo to get into playoff contention. I think there are a lot of players that can round out this roster because you have the pieces in place. Now you just need those pieces that fit. And I'm not sure the pieces that are there necessarily fit. I was talking plus minus earlier before the last break. Wemby had a plus minus of plus 102 this year. Plus 102. Jeremy Sohan was minus 88 for the season. Keldon Johnson was minus 217. Devin Vassell was a minus 262 on the year. If I can get rid of Devin and get something for him, I'm going to. Because I'm going to find something that where I don't need him to be the guy. Because Devin feels like he has to have at least the offense kind of run through him in a sense when he's playing at his best. And I don't need those guys on this roster. I've got the guys that the offense needs to go through. Now I need to find guys that supplement those guys. I need guys that can play without the ball. I need guys like Alex Caruso, like Isaiah Hartenstein, like Obi Toppin, like Andrew Nembhard. They work within the function of the offense. They can get their shots without having it run through them. And they're great defenders. Benedict Mathurin. That's what you got to start finding. Now, it's going to be very hard to move off that number 2 pick. I get it. But maybe you can set yourself up with some players that can immediately help this team. Force you into contention. At least playoff contention. And also set you up with the pieces to continually add to this roster. That's how you build this thing going forward. To me, I look at this and all the guys that were, and David on our YouTube page says, get rid of everyone from Team Tank prior to Wemby. I don't disagree with that. I like Keldon. I do think he carved out a niche as a 6th man coming off the bench. And who knows? Maybe Devin can be that too. But I'm tired of trying to shoehorn him into the starting lineup. That's not where he belongs. It's where Stephon Castle belongs. It's where De'Aaron Fox belongs. That's where Victor Wembanyama belongs. And to this point right now, until other changes to this roster are made, that's where Harrison Barnes belongs. I need to find the guys on that second unit. I need to find the guys. I mean, look at these teams. You got SGA and a whole bunch of shooters and a dirty guy in Isaiah Hartenstein. He's your dive on the floor. He is your fouls and hustle points. That's what Isaiah Hartenstein does. Lou Dort, 3-and-D. Alex Caruso, 3-and-D. Williams, 3-and-D. He can get off the dribble and get to the bucket a little bit. That team's built around SGA, surrounded by a bunch of shooters. Guess what? Miles Turner, 3-and-D. Benedict Mathurin, 3-and-D. I mean, look at the way these teams are built. They've got their guy, Halliburton, and everybody else spaces the floor, gives them room to work, and works within the confines of the offense. These aren't teams that are built with 4 superstars. And I'm starting to think the way of the NBA, especially with the salary cap constraints, with these aprons, these tax aprons, I think it's starting to go away. People are starting to build deeper rosters with more talent. What say you? 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. If you want to be a part of the conversation when we come back, man, college football is getting a lot of spin with the SEC in their coaches meetings this summer as they get ready for spring ball. We'll get into some of that when we come back right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 FM, San Antonio Sports Star.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/score. That's ethos.com/score.
The DQ Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Baskets have more flavor than your taste buds know what to do with. We start with all white meat, breaded, seasoned, and fried to crunchy perfection. Next, we double down and toss them in honey barbecue or new buffalo sauce. Serve them up with DQ fries, Texas toast, and house-made Hidden Valley Ranch, and you've got flavor on flavor on flavor. Get the Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Basket in honey barbecue or new buffalo right now at DQ. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary.
Gomez Law Firm has been fighting for the rights of San Antonians for 50 years. We have Jose with the Gomez Law Firm here. What is something you see often as a personal injury attorney and protecting your clients?
The one thing we always see without fault in a case is that the insurance company will always reach out to them soon after the collision and they try to get them to agree to a low settlement. They try to get them to agree to signing a piece of paper. They want them essentially to sign their rights away without ever even consulting with an attorney. right? In the grand scheme of things, if you sign a piece of paper, you're signing your future interest away. So that's why it's so important to call the Gomez Law Firm, because we make sure we protect your rights, and you're not signing your life away. You're not signing your rights away.
If you or your family have been injured in an accident or hit by a company vehicle, then call the Gomez Law Firm first. 210-736-4040 or visit joegomezlaw.com. Protect your family and protect your rights.
And remember, Gomez Law fights.
Hunger striking, snack time calling, it's crunch time. Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds brings you the boldest protein-packed crunch you can't resist, with mouth-watering flavors like hot honey, sweet barbecue, and sea salt and cracked black pepper. Why settle for chips when you can level up your snacking game? Plus, they're low-carb, high-protein, and made for adventurous appetites. Score big flavor today. Grab Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds at H-E-B.
Have you ever closed your eyes and pictured owning a piece of the Texas coast? Ocean views, world-class fishing off of Matagorda Bay? Well, dream no more. Saturday, June 7th, Driftwood Shores at Wolf Point is dropping the final release of these incredible coastal properties. We're talking 1 to 3 acre properties, all with ocean access for just $49.9. You heard correctly, $49.9. This gated community has a waterfront resort-style pool and cabana, your own boat slip and launch, even boat and RV storage, plus paved roads and underground utilities. It's the whole shebang. It's all happening Saturday, June 7th. 1 to 3 acres with ocean access, just $49.9. Yes, just $49.9. Call now for your private tour at 210-853-0389. Excellent financing. Don't wait another minute. Call 832-662-0389. Texas coastal land has never been this affordable.
Mellow Mushroom has the best pizza in San Antonio. Mellow delivers the best pizza experience with their delicious dough, premium ingredients, and unique flavors. Delivering a higher order of pizza is the standard. If Mellow can make a pizza this delicious, imagine what they can do with munchies, greens, calzones, and burgers. Mellow Mushroom has San Antonio's best happy hour with food specials and half-off adult beverages. Mellow Mushroom is at 1604 in Stone Oak Parkway. Hang with friends, watch the game, and mellow out at Mellow Mushroom.
That is right. Led Zeppelin's a great band. And I'm giving y'all a chance to go check out Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening. It's coming to the Aztec Theater on August the 3rd. And if you want to go, be caller number 8 right now, 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. You could be going to see John Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening out at the Aztec Theater, courtesy of Live Nation. Of course, if you don't win your tickets this week, you can always get them at livenation.com. Now, college football doesn't seem to be a whole lot of love going on around college football right now, because players aren't happy, coaches aren't happy, fans upset with everything that's going on. How do you fix it? Transfer portal, the spending, the NIL. Well, Rob Thompson was talking about it earlier this morning on the Morning Huddle.
When should the transfer portal happen? I told you before the break that I'd tell you what needs to be fixed first, and it's transfer portal. And I didn't break any news. Everybody knows that. But how? How are we going to fix it? Because everybody can agree that there's a problem, and we can all agree that the fix to the problem that is currently 2 transfer portal periods, right? There's early and late, that's stupid. That needs to be fixed. Now, the SEC, led by Kirby Smart and Mike Elko, are kind of like, we would prefer to have the transfer portal be in early January, the time when the incoming mid-season freshmen that are coming in, that early qualified and early graded from high school, that it can come in and go through spring practice and potentially get themselves on the field in September. That's when they're going to show up. So that's when the transfer portal should be. You can transfer and arrive in time for the academic calendar, and you can go to class and be part of the school as long as they're paying you, whatever the case may be. That's what they would like. Now the Big Ten on the other, they're the other kissing sister amongst the big times. They would prefer, by their poll, something in March or April. Then at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that whether it happens at a time you don't necessarily like, it is still would be better than the current situation. That even if you're pro into season before the new semester begins, transfer portal, so we can get the guys in and have some kind of semblance that this is still college and they're going to go to class, they transfer and arrive in time to start the semester instead of some kind of weird mini-mester online that they can actually be inculcated on campus, and go look that up if you were one of those that didn't have to do it. That would fit best. And I agree. I think that would probably be the best time if I was the coaches. If I was a coach, I'd want them in as soon as possible, and I want to lock them in and not let them leave for a year right then. Now, the Big Ten, they think later. Let the freshmen come in and find them some space, and then go through spring practice. Everybody goes through spring practice, and then after spring practice, whenever we decide it's over, we open the portal then to allow the players who have found they're no longer ones or twos or not doing what they thought they were going to do to leave at that point, that they can go. And if you're a player, that would be best. If I was a player, I'd want to know where I stood and then make my decision, as opposed to being locked in and find out I arrived being promised X, Y, and Z, and whatever X, Y, and Z was ain't going to happen. Well, I'm stuck now, at least for the year, which is still far better than it used to be.
And that's the thing. It's far better than it used to be, no matter which way you go. What do you say? 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. College athletes or professional players now, says Sam. That's true. But at the same time, that's why they're doing away with spring games and depth charts and everything else. So no matter when the transfer portal window is or gets narrowed to, they've still got control over the situation and keeping players in-house as long as they can. From our last segment, Big Dog 63 says Keldon's a certified bum who belongs on the YMCA courts, a certified shot chucker and cone on defense. Well, look, some people just have to find their position within a team. And I don't think he was best suited for what he was being asked to do early in his career, but I do think it's gotten better. Adam Castro says signing Naz Reid, trading for Cam Johnson would be a very successful offseason. I 100,000% agree with that, because Naz Reid is a guy, plays defense, spreads the floor. Cam Johnson obviously spreads the floor. 6'8", gives you some length as well. These are things that I think would eminently make this team ready to compete instantaneously. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. Lars, welcome into Extra Innings with Pledge, my man. Welcome in.
Hey, how are you, Pledge?
I'm good,
hey,
man. What's happening?
I'm good. I just want to big fan of the show and big fan of the Spurs. I was just going to say that the Spurs are in great position with the last, with Wemby and Castle and then getting Fox.
Absolutely.
And the key to being good and competitive, I think, is more to look at length on defense and try to move Wemby to the 3 and play some of the 4 versus the 4 and 5, and then try to get somebody like, I know Spurs fans ain't going to want to hear this, but if you could get somebody like a Draymond Green that, they might be willing to part with because of his age, but he's still got some years in him, or a Jaren Jackson or a Nas, those are the players you want to go with that can play at the 4 and the 5, do the dirty work, and let Wemby focus on, getting out in the open court and shaking his threes, plus, posting periodically, but not as his primary game. So I think the key is just getting long on defense, getting where we're a top defensive team and being young and getting out and running just like OKC's doing now.
Lars, I can't agree with you more. There are a lot of pieces, I think, but these are realistic pieces that I think don't disrupt the core that you've bought or already started to build with Wemby, Castle, and Fox. And you look at building this team out, the more stars you add to it, the more mouths you have to feed, the more difficult it becomes to find consistency on offense on who should be leading the way. And I think it's time to start investing in what you've done. You've got your Wemby. It's time to build out around him. You've got the other pieces with him. It's now time to start filling in on the periphery and building with shooters and guys that can space the floor and allow him defensively to be that rover. And I think that's very important in how the Spurs approach this offseason.
Agree. And I'd also say, too, that caller or the guy that typed in on the web that said that Johnson's the player for the Spurs. Johnson's a good 8-9 player. He's just not a starter. But if you got him as your 8 or 9, being versatile and playing that, 3 or 4 position, that's a bonus. And he's not going to cost you a huge contract he's never going to get more than he's getting right now.
I 1,000% agree. Appreciate the phone call, Lars.
Thanks.
Look, I think he's right. Keldon's at 20 this year. Like that's probably his ceiling on his contract moving forward. Everybody kind of knows what Keldon's ceiling is. Look, Big Dog 63, been waiting on 6 years for Keldon, 5 for Devin to put it together. Enough time. Agreed. Like, we know what they are, and we know what Devin Vassell is now for certain. Can we either move on or put them in a role that is more conducive to where they fit? And I think Devin Vassell played a lot of last year in the starting lineup when he was probably could have been more useful coming off the bench. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I'm James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star. When we come back, we'll put a bow on the show, get you ready for the Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals here on San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, 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 and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive so you can stop worrying about them and invent new things to worry about, like snakes in your bedroom. Sure, that sounds incredibly irrational, but now that we've mentioned it, you are a little worried. The odds of one snake, let alone snakes plural, are so slim. But you might want to check. Oh, you're not near your bedroom. Guess you'll just have to sit there and worry about it. So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/radio, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
The WNBA season is here. You want to make those games more interesting and exciting to watch? Make sure you've got a chance at cash from Underdog, one of the leading places to make all your sports picks. The Underdog app has over 100,000 five-star reviews, millions of players, and all you have to do is choose higher or lower on predicted stats to win at cold hard cash. Download the Underdog app, sign up with my promo code STAR to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Again, use promo code STAR at Underdog. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-499-9102. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-499-9102. That's 800-499-9102. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Appreciate all y'all for riding along with me tonight as we take you up to the beginning of Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. Potential closeout for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Can the T-Wolves stave off elimination with Anthony Edwards? We will find out here very shortly as that game gets underway here at the top of the hour. I appreciate all y'all for rolling along with me tonight. Don't forget, we got another closeout game tomorrow here on San Antonio Sports Star as well. Game 5 with the Eastern Conference Finals as the Pacers looking to close that thing out in the Garden. I appreciate all y'all for rolling along with me tonight. Remember, check on your loved ones. You never know what people are going through in life. And the simple, hey, how you doing, could change everything for them. This has been Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. We will catch y'all tomorrow.
Starting TRT has never been easier. Other places charge hundreds of dollars just for the test, but visit any Synergenics or Low T center and get the consultation and test totally free. Treatment is personalized to you, and most major insurances accepted with the freedom to